Hello and welcome, guys. Welcome once again to the stream. Another day of ProtoPlay. A lot of amazing games coming to you today. We're gonna be showing off 9 teams with their projects and talking to developers. So real cool stuff. A really great place to get some detailed information about the process on how they developed the game, why they made things that way and not the other. So definitely stick around to see all the teams. And just to give you guys a run through what to expect today, we're gonna be seeing a Bladestorm Studios, Shotgun Mango, Core Games, Chimera Tales, Indie Shark Games, Off-Brand, Industrial Gameworks, Incursion Games, and last but not least, Egg Gang Games. So a lot of very cool teams coming our way. And yeah, a big reminder. Remember about all the socials. Use the where is it? There it is. Hashtag ProtoPlay on socials whenever you are sharing the stream. Get some exposure to your projects if you are one of the developers in chat as well. And any of these social links that you're seeing at the bottom, you can also click the panels below if you need to access any of the websites or any of the links at ease without having to type it. Just click at one of the panels below our channel and it will take you to your destination. Yeah, desired destination, that is. Okay, let's get started. Our first studio is Bladestorm Studio, and I'm gonna be talking to Ryan, one of the developers, about their game. Let's go. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi there, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm amazing, thank you.
Brilliant.
So,
my name is Ryan Jones. I am the art designer and audio designer from Bladestorm Studios, who helped make Blade win during the Transfuser event.
Awesome, wonderful. So, a bit more about your game. Could you give us just like a overall description of the game, like in 2 sentences? What is it? What genre is it? What are we looking at?
Okay, so Blade Wind is a third-person action roguelike with a fun arcade twist. The aim of the game is to go into different levels and raid them for bosses and defeat different objectives to earn extra coins and money in order to develop your character even further.
Sounds awesome. Very nice. So where did your inspiration for the game come from?
So the inspiration for the game came from games such as Risk of Rain 2 and Enter the Dungeon. The idea with having the deep roguelike going on a run, trying as best as you can to get as far as you can without dying to get yourself even better through the game. And then you learn from every experience that you do in order to progress to the next stage and get even better at what you're doing.
That's actually very interesting because the game, as I'm looking at the screen right now, it has more of that RPG feel. At least that was more what I expected. But hearing that you took inspiration from the likes of games like Risk of Rain and Enter the Gungeon, I believe. So
Yes,
the roguelike titles that sort of emphasize the idea of replayability, you know, is really cool. It's not something I actually expected from your title, to be honest, from what I've seen. So it's
I
really
can
cool
see
to
where
see. Yeah. So could you sorry, go ahead.
Go on. I was going to say, with the unique art style, I can see where you're coming from with it looking like an RPG, because it's got that World of Warcraft feel in regards to its overall appearance.
Almost, yeah, you could go that way as well. Certainly, certainly. But now we are seeing the classic: activate a thing, you can't run, you have to defeat the boss to proceed.
Yeah.
One of the roguelike core features.
Yes. So as soon as you activate the boss pillar, which is there's multiple areas where it can spawn within the world, and once it spawns, it activates a wall of fire around you that you can't escape from until the boss is defeated.
Damn.
At the moment, you're seeing Larry the Minotaur coming in to wreak havoc on the land. He's at the moment he does a charge attack and he throws boulders at you, but we are looking at giving him some more options available to him for attacking.
I see. Where did the name Larry come from?
The name Larry was just something that we came up with because we were looking at like all different like more serious names, but then we thought no, we'll make it Larry as a bit of a like fun element to the game to make it sound more entertaining.
To be honest, yeah, it's certainly easier to memorize Larry the Minotaur than just some Minotaur boss. You know, it has that personality to it. So
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, that's good. It's good approach. Could you take us a bit like through the game, gameplay wise? I start the game right, and then how how did you manage to make a roguelike genre in this 3D RPG looking world?
Right. So with how we did it is we separated out into multiple different classes that you could pick from at the beginning. So instead of just having like one character that is it, and then it's random rolled each time, you actually get to pick what character you go for. We've currently got three in the game, and they've all got their own unique ability in regards to momentum travel. So, for example, the wizard can do a fast blink maneuver forward, like you just saw there. We've also got a jester character that can do a forward roll in order to dodge enemies. And the third character that we've got is the scavenger, who has an ability of like a shoulder charge, so we can push enemies out of his way to get through.
So he's like
Uh,
Larry.
yeah, he's a bit like Larry. That's one way of putting it. But yeah, basically, once you've done that and you've selected which character you want, you then enter in and you get a random roll on a weapon that comes from the weapon box at the beginning. A little bit like what you see in Call of Duty Zombies when you open up the chest and it gives you like a random gun out of the chest.
Yeah.
But with how our game works is the gun that you get at the start of the playthrough is the one that you use for that round, and then it's because it's random every time, you don't know what you're going to get. So, for example, as you can see from the gameplay right now, we've got a crossbow. The crossbow is a very fast rate of fire gun, but has low damage output with no real area of effect on its damage. So you've got to be quite accurate with it, and you've got to keep landing the shots persistently. So it gives it a different feel of how the game should work. Once you've got your weapon, though, you can then progress to buy different upgrades for your character, depending on how much money you get from playing through the game and doing different objectives. So, for example, when you go into the world, you can get different objectives to complete in order to earn more money. Some of them are like complete the level as quickly as you can, or maybe there'll be something in the world that you've got to find and destroy, like a pumpkin or break the windmill, something on that regard. Once you do that and you save up enough money, you can then buy upgrades for your character, such as the ability to do faster cooldowns on the dodges and the blink abilities. You can also give yourself more health, but the way how we've worked it is that your health is a permanent fixture. You can't get health from within the gameplay. You've got to purchase more health as you go. So basically, you start off with 4. You can work your way up to a much higher amount if you wanted to, but as they progress down, once you hit 0, that's it. It's game over.
Yeah, of course you have to add that roguelike sense of that you might actually, your character might, die and you might have to start over. So
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So the game is looking very good. I'm very not inspired. What's the word? Intrigued by what you've done with the setting of the game in terms of like a theme, visuals, the camera angle, and everything, and what it actually is in terms of genre. I think those two clash, but in a very good way. So
yeah.
I think that's really cool. Speaking of really cool, and what I like, what do you like? Are you most proud of from the game?
From the game itself, I'm most proud of like the full experience of it more than anything else. Because like I came onto the project for doing Transfuser itself, and when I came here, they had a lot of elements in place, but it just needed a little bit more revamping in certain areas, just to give it that like addictive gameplay that it needs to be like a roguelike experience, doing runs every time.
Yeah.
And I believe that where we're up to right now, we have definitely kind of cracked that addictive gameplay loop where you've got the objectives that you've got to complete, every time you come in and do a round. And like, as you can see here now, they've got a different weapon that they can try out. And because we've got 6 weapons at the moment, we're looking at putting more in later on. So when you think about how many different weapons we could put in by the end, it's definitely going to have this feeling of like, oh yeah, I want to play this. I want to see what gun I get and how does it work. And then, there's a lot of learning there. And I think that's the thing I like most about what we've managed to accomplish here.
I see. That's awesome. So just like, no specifics. You are just more happy of the results of how everything came together, if I'm getting it right.
I mean, I'm definitely, in specific terms, the graphical look of the game is probably the thing I'm most proud of.
There we go. I got
how
it. Yeah, kudos to the artist and well done to
Yeah.
Nice, certainly. But I must say though, I'm not sure if your artists done the animations as well, or if you had a spare animator, but the smash on the Minotaur is actually looking quite it's looking quite good, quite professional.
Yeah, the Smash wasn't made by the artist, but it was implemented into the game onto one of our own separate models,
Oh,
which
I
we've
see.
then put in. Yeah.
I see. I see. Would there be anything you would want to change if you had the opportunity prior to what we are seeing on the screen right now? Any design changes, development changes that you would consider making if you had the opportunity?
Is there anything I'd want to change right now on the project? It would probably be to get another level in during the transfuser event.
Mhm.
We did focus primarily on just like really polishing up what we had there, but only having the one farm level with a few objectives can get a little bit repetitive. And I think if we had like 2 levels just to show off, like the different elements that we're looking for, we would definitely have like a more complete looking experience at the end rather than this very small vertical slice that we have.
I see. But in terms of if you maybe not adding stuff, but changing things, is there anything you would want to touch on, or like maybe take a different route with something now that you've done it, and if you could go back?
If we were going to change anything in particular, I'd probably say the overall weapon system would do with like not really more additions, but more tweaking, because there's a few little bits there that I feel like we could have done slightly more optimized, because we had a couple of issues getting them into the game the way that we liked at first. We definitely got somewhere in the end that works really nice, but there are a couple of bits that we could have improved on even more so.
I see. That's cool. Cool. Yeah, I was just trying to see because it's always interesting to know. There is always that learning curve as you are working on the project, right? And sometimes you
Yeah.
only realize what could have been enhanced once you actually finish working on it. So
Yeah, one thing that we did notice just before we put the final build up for the transfuser was the blunderbuss shotgun that's in the game has got like such a fast rechargeability rate at one point that when you were shooting it, you could just spam it, so it was almost like a machine gun,
I see.
but it was shooting shotgun pellets. We changed that quite quickly, but obviously like things like that are an undersight until you look at it yourself and go, oh, hang on a minute, this needs changing.
Yeah, that sounds like extremely overpowered weapon in the game.
Yeah. Considering we haven't seen it on this yet, but the blunderbuss itself has like an explosive shot to it as well, so it really does have a lot of bang for its buck.
I see. You mentioned abilities, so does every character have the one ability at all times? Or can they change the ability throughout the playthrough, or do they have to stick to the one ability?
So every character has one ability to start with, which is based on their, like I say, the way that they momentum around the environment. So they've all got one move like that. What we are looking at right now is a secondary ability which you can unlock through gameplay. So at the moment, because you can only buy health and upgrades for that ability from the shop, one thing that we're looking at is maybe having objectives that can then unlock certain other abilities. So say, for example, if you complete an ability to, let's say, find another boss within the level other than the main one that you found, and then if you kill him, you end up getting like a power buff, which makes, say, if you're the enchantress with the staff, you end up getting a more powerful version of the shot when you're holding the staff.
I see.
Like little passive abilities like that, or even like ones which you could use to, say, throw grenades down and things like that, just to make it a little bit more different.
So you're saying how things would be changing, but are the changes specific to the classes? Because I'm just thinking, would a wizard class get more benefit from dropping a wand weapon from a chest, and maybe would another class get more benefit from another weapon, or is that?
Yes, that's kind of the idea. So,
Okay.
for example, like as you can see now, we've got the scavenger on the screen. Like, say, for example, if he got the crossbow or the blunderbuss, he could end up with a better damage output from them as well. But obviously, that would be something that you would find in the world to unlock. So you can progress each character in different ways and take them down paths that you might want.
So you can progress it in different ways. We did see the wizard carrying the bow at some point.
Yes.
So
I think it's all random, so you don't know what you're going to get every time you open the box.
yeah, of course, the beauty of roguelike games, right? So
Yeah,
is it actually detrimental to like a wizard gameplay do they always want to drop the wand, or can they go into the route of being a wizard that shoots arrows at the enemies? Sorry.
As it stands right now, you can go any direction that you want with it because of the random elements that we have. So for a prime example, like if you're, going for the wizard's role and you just get the bow, you don't need to like stop where you are because you'll still have the same damage output as any other character would. Because obviously, if you did it the other way and like you picked the wizard character and obviously you ended up picking the crossbow, you'd be like, oh, well, why have I got this? This is rubbish, and you'd want to restart. Whereas we want it to feel like it's even throughout, but then give each character the ability to have like buffs to the weapons that they prefer later on. Obviously, once they've started their run with the character, you want them to feel like at the beginning they are on an even playing field, but then you can progress them into a pointed spearhead, like what you want them to be later on.
Yeah, certainly. That's something good, It's definitely good to have the flexibility and being able to mix things up a bit, It adds that another layer of randomness to the game. Which in roguelike is always welcoming, because you always want to see, what am I going to get this time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's cool. Early on, when we started talking, you mentioned about joining the team when they were during the development. Could you just sort of touch on how the development began and if it changed, if the scope or the development changed ever since you became part of Transfuser and decided to take part in ProtoPlay and stuff?
The scope definitely did change. As I mentioned earlier on, like our main focus for joining into Transfuser at first was to make the game with 3 full levels of gameplay, whilst tweaking everything else out. But then we realized that wasn't going to be happening because there's so much that we need to tweak and adjust first, that we need to kind of cross that bridge later on. So we decided to really go all out in making the farm level as feature rich as possible, with different weaponry available to the player, and then adding in more characters as well. Also, when I came into the project, the game was completely bereft of audio. There was nothing there. So there's a lot of different audio in it now. It's got like a full BGM for when you're playing, which it like enhances and swells depending on what you're doing within the world. And then obviously sound effects for each weapon, which were all created by myself, and like adding in voices for the characters and how they like make sounds when they move. That was also put into just to kind of give it more in-depth feel, because at the end of the day, audio is like one of the biggest parts of the game that people don't really realize is until you go, oh, hang on, this game has no sound.
Yeah, until you don't have it, that's when you realize you actually need it.
yeah, definitely.
Don't take audio for granted, guys. Appreciate the audio in games. I wanted to sort of touch on the influences you've had on the game and the game development itself. Has the being part of the Transfuser, talking to teams and sort of networking through that, did you get any inspiration? Did that sort of change your development process, or maybe spark some new ideas for your game, or were you sticking to your guts and going with the plan you've had from the very start?
We definitely changed a few little bits based on like what we thought we could do versus what we actually were expecting to do by the end. Especially once we saw other people's projects and where they were up to. Obviously, like ambition is the mother of all creation, but it can also be your greatest downfall if you're too high on the mark.
Yeah.
So when we saw other people's projects and realized where they were up to, we kind of went, yeah, okay, maybe we could take a step back and like be a bit slower with what we're doing rather than kind of go all out and making something that looks a bit more rushed. Yeah. Which is the way that we looked at it in the end.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, as you mentioned about the ambition part, oftentimes I guess new upcoming indie teams might forget that many games that we see out there and that we play on daily basis are often made by hundreds of people, and hundreds of people spending time on just one game can get you those results. But when you got a smaller team, you have to be aware of what you guys can produce. And it's not like you can't produce great quality things, it's just that you need to scope properly. So I definitely agree with the sort of bearing in mind the ambition and the actual scope that you can manage, you know, when you're developing.
Yeah, yeah.
About the game is roguelike, so I suppose you're definitely targeting the audience of Risk of Rain, Enter the Gungeon, Binding of Isaac, all people who play those sort of games. But
Yeah, yeah, that's what we're looking for.
yeah, would you be looking to expand out of that? Because like I've been speaking about it a few times about how intriguing your gameplay is to what genre of the game you're making. Would you be looking to expand the target market outside of just those customers, or?
We're definitely looking at the expansion because, like you said, the gameplay is such a different experience
Mhm.
compared to what you expect out of a roguelike. The art style as well is also something that we've had a lot of comments on. I've got a couple of kids myself, and when they saw the game, the first thing they said, it looks a bit like Fortnite, which kind of like made me go, hang on a minute, yeah, that's a good point. Like that kind of look
Now I
would
see it.
entice like,
Now I
younger,
see it.
yeah, like it would entice like the younger kids to come in and maybe have a look at the game because of how it looks.
Yeah.
So we're definitely looking at trying to like expand the audience outside of just the roguelike fans, because even though there is a lot of them there, it's still quite a niche genre to be part of.
Yeah. So apart from your kids, have you had feedback from any other players, community? Was there any feedback that made you do some tweaks here and there for the game?
So we did a lot of play testing through itch.io. So we posted the game on there just to get like a public view of it. We also shared the game between our friends and people who are into these kind of things, and we got quite a lot of like genuine feedback from those people in regards to what they found. We managed to do quite a lot of fixes from that as well. So we put our first build up about 6 to 8 weeks ago, something on that line. And from the feedback of that, we managed to get so much fixed. We had some issues with the boss at first, which are now gone. A lot of the issues with the weaponry, which we've managed to fix afterwards once we realized what was going on. We also had a couple of issues with the random chest at one point as well, where you could like pick out from the chest while it was still spinning.
I see.
You can't do now. So we've fixed a lot from feedback we had.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's great to hear. Um, what's your ambition for what's the ambition, sorry, for your team and for your project as well, post Transfuser and post ProtoPlay?
In regards to our ambition for like for the end of Transfuser and beyond, we currently would like to be able to progress the game even further and get it into a finished state. We've already made a plan for 2 new levels to be added to the game. One called the Wizard's Tower and the other one called the Graveyard.
Ooh.
They will all have their own unique enemies and fighting styles to go with them as well. So, for example, Wizard Tower, we were talking a couple of days ago about having like flying wizards that could shoot down on you rather than on the ground, so that they'd have a bit more freedom. Another thing that we were looking at is adding a few more enemy types into the farm level just to make it a bit more mixed. And to put in more missions, because at the moment the farm level only has 3 objectives in total, but we've got some more ideas for that too. And to add some more destructible elements to the game as well, because right now we've got destructible pumpkins and it's like a really satisfying thing when they explode and all the slime out the pumpkin goes everywhere.
Yeah.
So to add in a little bit more variance on that, so say for example, on the farm there's a few hay bales dotted about. If you shot them, like all the hay just shot up everywhere and went all over the ground. Or for another one, there's like apples dotted about the place, like having a mission where you could say take out the apples, but then they also explode into chunks everywhere too.
That's awesome.
Be an interesting one to put in.
You gave me a lot of content right there, and you mentioned flying witches in one of the new levels you would be looking to add. I think it really adds a lot of volume having the flying enemies. It certainly creates another adds to the gameplay quite a lot. And about having a lot of terrain explode and sort of having the particles of the meshes go everywhere, I think that's very considerate of gameplay and considerate of the player having just enjoying the game essentially, and it creates that you get responsiveness from the gameplay for the actions you take in the game, which I personally, as a player, as a gamer, I think that's really cool that you, as a team, you guys are actually considering things like that. So I think that's great.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you.
Absolutely. We got some questions in the chat. What sort of release window are you looking at for this game?
So right now with what's going on, provided that obviously we get the funding from Transfuser, we had a 6-month window that we were looking at in getting this game released. With everything that we want to add, we reckon we can get it all done within a 6-month period.
I see. That's really ambitious, I would say. But at the same time, I really hope to see it released because I would like to play it.
So yeah, well, we've already put quite a lot of hours into it ourselves. I mean, obviously, I came into the team later on, but I've still managed to rack up a fair few hours during the Transfuser events. While the other guys, I think they've put in over 600 hours each now,
Wow.
with the university work that they put into it as well. So we're definitely like hitting high numbers already, and we've got a very deep understanding of what we wanted out of the game in the first place. So yeah, I think it will be doable within that time frame.
I see. That's awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Just really impressed with the concept myself, to be fair, and how you managed to create a twist on a genre that I thought was quite, quite defined, but I've never seen something like this. So really great job on that. Would you like to give any shoutouts to your teammates, or maybe add anything that would intrigue the viewers to check out your game further?
I mean, I'd like to give a big shout out to Damien for all the character models that he created, because he's done a fantastic job with like how they look and how they move and things like that. And yeah, Mike and Gareth are the other two that we had on our team. So Mike did a lot of the work on the weapon models. I did 2 of them, but he did the rest. And Gareth basically programmed this entire thing himself. He had barely any help from anybody else. He just kind of went for it, and this is the result we've got out of it. He's done a fantastic job.
You have a very hard-working programmer at your hands. Treasure him.
Oh, definitely. He's really put his all in. Like, big props to him.
Yeah, no, game is looking very good. So how much hasn't been in development? I don't think I asked, just out of curiosity.
Well, they started the project last October. That is part of their final year project. So it's been in development now for, well, nearly a full year.
I see.
From when it started till now. But obviously they didn't touch like keyboard and mouse to start developing it straight away, so it would have been a bit later than that from then. But the design started this time last year.
I see. There we go. So pretty much anniversary.
Yeah, almost. We're getting there because we went back on the 6th of October last year. So
I
yeah.
see. There you go. You can add some Easter egg of the anniversary, or release a pre-alpha. Okay, thank you so much for chatting to me, Ryan. It's been a pleasure. I've linked in the chat, guys. There is the Bladestorm Studio, their Twitter handle. And yeah, can people check out your game on itch.io, or is that not there yet?
It's on itch.io. You can get it from there to download. The link has been posted, so it is available if you want it.
Okay. Yeah, the links actually don't work in the chat. It's just a moderation thing. But during our break, if you guys hang around in the chat, I'm gonna grab the link. Yeah, also link is in the Discord. Yeah, if you scroll down to the panels, if you go into the ProtoPlay Discord, the link is in there, or it's on their Twitter. See, Bladestorm Studio is everywhere. Wherever you go, you'll find the game.
Yeah, you'll find it. It's available on everywhere that we exist.
I'll make sure though to post the link for you, Ryan, in the chat so people can go to it through the Twitch chat if they decide to do so as well. So yeah, it will be right there. Right. Once again, thank you so much. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you.
And we are gonna go on our short break. It's gonna be just like 7 minutes break, and then we are gonna be right back up online with Shotgun Mango. That's the next team. Exciting. So grab some snacks, grab some tea, or if you are still in bed, just chillax, and we'll be right back.